So let's take another look at this, but I'm going to put up irons and we're going to compare the irons. Just to spare you of the waste of time, I cut out the part of me erasing the board, so let's start over with irons. Alright, so irons on a pistol. So we're going to put this guy up here now, my Glock 19. There we go. So the first pro is just overall dependability. In the years of me shooting in the tens of thousands of rounds that I have fired, all the training that I've gone through, I've had a grand total of one time that I've presented my pistol with irons, and the irons did not work. And that was a factory Glock 17 with factory Glock plastic sights, and my front sight broke off. That's just a thing sometimes with those factory plastic sights. They're just not the best. And that is the reason why when it comes to a defensive pistol, typically the only thing I will ever update on a pistol is the sights. I don't do the trigger stuff. I don't do stipple jobs. I don't do any of that. Nothing is deviated from factory other than the sights. That's a reliability thing. That's also a defensibility thing when it comes to being in a court of law and defending your actions. The less stuff that you update on your pistol, the better. That's not my opinion. That's an opinion from a lot of legal experts on this fact. So just think about that. All right. Now the dependability factor is way, way, way higher with standard iron sights compared to optics. So another one is just overall toughness. So overall toughness. Iron sights, like I mentioned before, I'm not detracting from pistol optics, especially really the only caveat is good quality, reputable optics from a reputable manufacturer that has military contracts and law enforcement contracts. That's really like the deciding factor that makes me really trust an optics brand versus not trust an optics brand. But the overall, even with that, the overall toughness of steel iron sights, like these XS big dot sights that I have on here, these things are made out of steel, and when I mount these things, I mount them with red Loctite, just because I don't ever intend for those things to come off once I mount them. So they are just, like, without argument, iron sights are tougher than any optic out there. They just are. Simplicity. Again, this is something that there is no argument. Iron sights are just simpler than a dot. Now, it might be a little bit simpler to aim the dot, and that's a different category. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But overall, iron sights are just simpler than optics, and simplicity is kind of king when it comes to deadly force encounters, just because of the adrenalized state that you're in. It's really important to keep it simple, stupid when you are being intentional in preparing yourself to survive that.
Crazy. Okay. Oh, there you go. Drop the knife! Drop the knife! Drop the knife!
So another thing is maintenance. The maintenance on iron sights is a whole lot simpler than it is on optics. For instance, the maintenance is almost nothing, or really nothing. At most, what I'll do is, like, I'll kind of wipe these down and just kind of wipe the human oil off of them and stuff, and make sure that I'm protecting them from getting rusty. And then, like, maybe every 10 or 15 years, you might need to have the tritium ampules replaced, which, you know, it is what it is at that point. But again, they're just a whole lot simpler as far as the maintenance is concerned. There is less maintenance involved with iron sights compared to optics. So aiming reliability. So I have this as a separate category because there's overall reliability and toughness, but the aiming function, essentially the application of using your iron sights over the optics, they are just overall more reliable to aim with versus an optic. For instance, I mentioned before, you have that presentation, you pull your gun up, maybe your grip wasn't perfect, you'll be able to see your front sight right away, and as you're presenting that gun out, you can torque your grip just enough to where you can get those iron sights lined up. It's just a whole lot more reliable to aim with versus optics. So, another thing, snag free. Again, a much more slimmed down, simple profile compared to an optic. You have this big snagglemodoodler, that's a technical term, snagglemodoodler, on the top of the gun, and that can snag on things and it can inhibit your draw. You can also, that could snag on something while you're cycling, while the gun is cycling during fire, and that could stop, create a stoppage there. For instance, if you're doing kind of close contact, compressed shooting, whatever, that optic is cycling with the slide, and if something bumps that, you're going to create a failure. So something snag free is a big deal. Another pro to add is cost. Now, I know, you can get cheaper optics, that's a thing. But if this is something that you're putting on a defensive pistol that you're potentially going to have to trust your life to, only get an optic that is going to meet that standard, something that is already trusted and verified by other people that take these implements into harsh and dangerous places. That is just a no-brainer in my opinion. So the cost of these things is significantly more than iron sights. Now, the iron sights I have on this guy right here on my Carry Glock 19, these are from XS Big Dot Sights. We're not sponsored by them or anything. I just personally really like XS Big Dot Sights. They are very, very simple to use, and they are very reliable. Now, this Trijicon RMR on here, this is easily 5 or 6 times more expensive than the XS Big Dot sights, or really any quality metal iron sights you put on your gun. Something else to consider is if you're going to have an optic on your gun, I'm a very big proponent of having backup iron sights on your pistol, so that's an extended cost on top of the cost of having your optic, just because should this fail, it's very important to have backup irons on there. And on top of that, having those backup irons on there will help you in finding your reticle when you present your pistol. If you just get used to presenting and looking for your iron sights, then your optical reticle, that will just appear out of nowhere. So it's more expensive to put optics on your gun, so a pro there for just having irons. Another one I don't have room for is forgiving. Iron sights are just more forgiving to aim with than optics. That's a thing. That's not arguable. All right. For instance, when you bring your pistol up and present with an optic, like I showed before, it just doesn't take a lot of movement on that pistol for that optical reticle to just disappear off the screen. Again, you need to plan all of this for the fact that you're going to be in a heavily adrenalized state, and your cognitive ability to process information, it's not gone, but it is limited. All right, it is limited. So it's just the simple fact that when you present with irons on your gun, that front sight, that doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't disappear. The other thing, even though I have a front sight on this pistol with optics, that front sight is obstructed by the structural body of the optic. It can be a little bit more limited to find that front sight because I have this structure around my screen, making it a little bit more difficult to find that front sight. It's just a whole lot faster and more forgiving to find your front sight on your irons. Now, I know this seems like a lot of the things I'm laying out, it's more compelling towards irons. And for me personally, it is more compelling to have irons. It's not to say that I don't have optics and that optics don't have a place. It's just that optics are more it's just that iron sights are a more compelling argument, in my opinion, for a self-defense pistol. Because you think about it like this, whether you are in a more direct action type of environment where you have a rifle, let's say a military or law enforcement application, let's say you have your rifle is your primary weapon, and your rifle has extra things on it to make it a little bit more effective than your adversary. And then if I have to ditch that pistol, the backup that I need to pull, personally, I want that to be as reliable as possible, because I already have problems with the rifle, right? I've ditched the rifle, I'm pulling the pistol. I need that pistol to be incredibly reliable. I need to be able to count on that thing.